Okay, we're here at the Gap A project talking about slip, strips, and falls. We're going to put together a short video for you all today to highlight some of the conditions we have out here and some of the ways that we overcome steep slopes and traverse them safely. So a couple things that we're going to touch on, common themes: footwear. Make sure we got good footwear. We're inspecting this every day, just like our tools, just like our equipment. Make sure we got the proper footwear. Make sure we're looking up, make sure we're not always looking down. Obviously, we're worried about our footing in these conditions. We're worried about getting good traction, but identify a path and always keep your head up. That way we can identify slips, trips, or falls, and we can recognize any hazards that are coming in our way. So hopefully you'll take away some good tips from today. Apply these at your job site and always ask questions. Or if you see something unsafe, please say something and speak up so somebody else doesn't fall in the same hazard. Okay, so here what we're dealing with is a slope that we've cleared and grubbed and stabilized. So this is a cut slope. Just like if we're going down, it's the same thought process if we're going up. Identify a walking path to get to where you got to go, depending on where on the slope you need to head. If you're, make sure we're taking the right angle depending on the work area. Obviously here, we're gonna have to cross a drainage ditch, so we want to be mindful of that. This is going to be soft. And then also, you know, this slope has been grubbed, but there's still a lot of roots, debris, and sticks on this slope that could be a tripping hazard. So obviously the straw, there's not a lot of vegetation, so the straw is going to be extremely slick. So again, we're going to walk with our feet sideways at the right angle, always looking up to see where we got to go. And again, digging our heels in and walking sideways. Be mindful of the sticks and the debris. Always looking up to make sure we're on the right path. We've safely accessed our work area. And it's the same going back down. Identify a good path. Make sure we're keeping our head up. Digging our feet in sideways. Always keeping our off hand free. In the event we do slip, we can catch ourselves pretty easily, and won't result in an injury. Feet sideways. All the way down. Be mindful of what you got at the toe of the slope. So we want to walk over here to a little drier area. Always maintaining the feet sideways and then getting across.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Dan Hirsch here, pipe foreman. As you can see, we are trying to install a 36-inch RCP pipe, and typically, we're not always in some ideal conditions, whenever we do or extend pipe work. So it's always, in a slope or in a bank. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about how to properly and safely get down a slope that this is the stuff that we're actually dealing with on a daily basis. As you can see, that we got multiple different types of material that we got to get from the top of a slope to the bottom of the slope where our work area is, ranging from pipe to pipe cables all the way down to silt fence and silt fence stakes. Not only do you have the materials that need to be installed, but you also have the tools with you necessary to perform that job. So if you do have, instead of carrying a handful of hammers and staples and staplers down, being all cumbersome, utilize the stuff that you have here. And in our instance, we have 5-gallon buckets with handles. We try to put everything in that to that way when we walk down, we're not, fumbling around or trying to drop something, and we use that and we take a safe route. Different things like this 2x4s and these pieces of plywood, if you already have gentlemen down, at your work area, you can, make sure that everyone's paying attention and is out of the way. You can toss those boards down there. It's not going to hurt them. And then that eliminates anyone trying to carry a 4x8 sheet of plywood or a 2x4 down a slope, so they can pick it up safely from there. Plus, they'll appreciate it because they're not the ones that had to pick it up and carry it down there. Also, I do want to touch base. Utilize your equipment that you have. We have loaders, skid steers. We got all different varieties of equipment. Anytime that we can carry something heavy or cumbersome, utilize your equipment with a bucket, on the equipment, or the forks. We got all different types of attachments that we can use for that, and that'll definitely save you some trips and injuries. And it's also important to note too that your tread on your boot should be in fairly decent condition. And I know a lot of people have flat soles because the dirt won't stick to them as much. But whenever you're dealing with conditions like this, just like in the wintertime with your vehicle, you want to have good tread. You also want to have good tread on your feet. And good, proper footwear will make your day go a whole lot easier, not only because of safety-wise, but comfortability as well. And they'll thank you later on in the evening when you get home when you do that.
All right. How you doing? I'm Kevin Rice with Shirley Contracting. Usually when we go into a job, especially you're going down a slope, something we like to do on a regular basis is for access and egress, cutting in a set of steps, because structurally everything we do is always from the ground up. The first thing we always try to do is focus on access and egress. So like here, for example, it's sandy material. So the first thing we did was brought out shovels, some digging bars, and dig just basically an access way for in and out, going up and down the slope. When carrying material up and down, something the guys try to do and talk about is keeping proper spacing, not being on top of each other. But usually on any job, we structurally, when we mobilize, the first thing we look at is our access and egress and what can we do to make it easier to go up and down the slope. Because obviously going up and down the slope is dangerous. I was talking to Ben and Derek about different access. Now, sometimes job site permitting, depending on what you're doing. If your inspectors are okay with it, you can sometimes use concrete or lagging boards and 2x4s. There's different ways you can do an access way. On other projects, we've done them out of concrete, wood, and different various materials, utilizing materials for making access ways.
Hello, Shirley team. This month we talked about slips, trips, and falls, and as you all are aware, slips, trips, and falls are one of our common incidents where we typically have an injury, whether it's a sprain or a strain. So we continue to focus on that to prevent this injury from happening. As you saw in the video, we talked about wearing the proper footwear. Be sure that you inspect your footwear on a daily basis or periodically to be sure you have the proper grip, that they fit properly, and if they're tie-up boots, that they're tied up properly the entire way to prevent you from slip, tripping, and falling, also to prevent you from twisting your ankle. Also, we talked about picking the proper route of travel. The shortest route there may not be the safest route there. So always keep your head up, as Ben was saying, and pick your route of travel. Walk sideways on the slope with your feet to the side. Don't attempt to go straight up and down. Typically, that's when we have a slip, trip, and fall. So with that said, take this to your teams, cover it daily in your SPA so we can cut down on these types of injuries. Thank you.